ring lights over the. So this is the difference the ring light makes. I'm gonna turn it off. Off. On.
On.
Okay.
You did it.
It only took, what is this, the 15th episode? It only took till 15 to figure it out.
But only 3 quarantine episodes.
That's true.
Cheers.
All right.
I've got Earl Grey tea. It's gonna be weak.
I got another Spanish latte.
Yes. Oh, it's not so bad. It was like, but I like lukewarm stuff. But it's good. This is the tea you brought me from Scotland.
Oh, nice.
Good. Hi, I'm Coco.
I'm Marika, and we are
Serial Knitters. This is a knitting podcast, or a podcast about knitting. We're going to go over our finished objects, our work in progress. We're 2 friends living in LA under quarantine conditions.
Yep.
Okay, nailed it. That only took 3 tries. Okay, so, I mean, let's just go ahead and talk about the pink elephant in the room.
So I had no finished objects last week.
Right.
And then I don't know what happened. I was so excited about knitting the Trove, but I didn't have the yarn to do it. And so I was like, I need to knit something now. And so I had everything for the As If tee, and I've had everything for the As If tee for over a year now, because I bought this Aran weight yarn, this guy here, at the last yarn crawl, which I think was last March or April.
Right.
And then I bought this Mohair at Stitches West, which was like when I bought all the yarn to start the Ramblin' Women, which was like my first foray into knitting, which was like November of 2018.
Yeah.
So these have been kicking around in the stash for a while now, and I was finally like, all right, we're gonna do it. Like, it's a crop. It's got some Intarsia, which I've never done before. Like, we're just gonna figure it out. So yeah, so this guy popped up over the last 2 weeks. Done.
It is so amazing.
Let me grab, I'll show you. I was so scared the whole time. Like, it was not a relaxing process because I was so worried I was not going to have enough of the Aran weight yarn. So let me grab literally all that is left. I'll show you 1 second.
Okay. I'm really happy with my makeup today.
It looks very good, very dewy and fresh. Okay, so this is literally all that's left.
Yes, that is very much like my last one.
Yeah, so I took a tip. I don't know if I said it, well, I mentioned it, but it's the As If tee by Shay Johnson. And I knit the, I think it was like the updated pattern. So I bought it a long time ago. I bought the pattern when I bought this yarn at Yarn Crawl, the Aran yarn at Yarn Crawl. And then she came out with an update in between then and now. So I knitted the updated version, which I think has expanded sizes. Like, the pattern is great in terms of its size inclusivity.
Mm-hmm.
And it also, you can either knit it flat or in the round, and you can also knit it full Intarsia or kind of like a faux Intarsia where you carry the mohair with the Aran through this section here. I did it full Intarsia because I was worried about like fuzzy boobs. Like, I didn't want it all of a sudden to be like regular yarn and then fuzz, like just tear up. So I did the full Intarsia, which was interesting because it was a lot of yarn to track, which I'd never done Intarsia before. So I had 5 different little groupings of yarn going for this section to track. But
You sent me a photo and I'll pop it in because it looked terrifying to me.
And I was like, I didn't have bobbins, so I just like cut up some cardboard to use for some of it. And it was all a bit of a hack to get it done. But yeah, I think it's pretty good. It's very cropped. Like, I guess I can stand up and show you.
Yeah, let's see.
So like, you know, it's pretty, like, there's not a lot.
Yeah, you can't really raise your arms.
Yeah, or else it's just like a bralette at that point. And I think I may have even knitted a little big. Like, I wish it was the ribbing was tighter. So I don't know, I might go back and rip up from the ribbing and then re-knit that part down.
But then will you need more yarn?
No, because I think since I'm gathering it.
Okay.
You know, I could probably do a couple decreases or even go down another needle size or something to try and get the ribbing to kind of gather in a little bit more. I also haven't blocked it, so I don't know if I might be able to kind of mush it in a little bit if I block it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it was pretty fun.
Okay, so Intarsia, we split it into 5 different sections and that was cool, scary, awesome.
Yeah, it was good. I liked it. It was a little, so since it was the first time I'd ever done Intarsia, it was a pretty steep, quick learning curve. Mm-hmm. And the only issue I had was like over on the sides, because you knit, I decided to knit it in the round up until the arm split, and then you do the front in Intarsia, and then the back is like gather the mohair and just knit it flat to get it to the same length. So under the
flat across?
Huh?
Is the back flat across, or does it have peaks too?
No, it's flat across.
Okay.
So under the arms, like where you start the Intarsia there, it's like, okay, you can hide all sorts of wrongs, you know, because your arms are going to be down most of the time. You're not really going to be paying attention there. But the problem I had is like right here, joining it and like trying to figure out the Intarsia here, which is like, you know, the main focus basically of the entire shirt, which is like not exactly the place you want to figure shit out. But I was able to go back and, you know, when I was weaving in ends, fix some tension and even some things out. So it wasn't too bad. And that's what I liked about the full Intarsia method, was that you could go back, and since you did have all of these ends, it was a little easier to go back and fix if you had a tension issue or, you know, something like that. Mm-hmm. Give you a little more flexibility after the fact. But
so how warm is this to wear?
It's a little warm. I don't know if it's just because I have all the windows closed in the apartment right now, but I can definitely, like, my forehead's getting a little like warm. But it's not too bad, and the mohair's not as itchy as I thought. Like I've been wearing this shirt for probably about an hour now, and I would have expected to be like, you know, super itchy, but it's not too bad.
Is it the same or less itchy than your Amelie, the bright neon one?
I don't know. I feel like it's less itchy than the Amelie.
Okay, good. So this mohair is Acid Veil Dyeworks?
Yes.
Is that who it is? Great.
Yeah, and it's pretty in pink.
It's very
and then this is, the Aran weight is, I think it's Lang Yarns Wool Addicts Air.
Nice.
And it's, I think the color is just a number. It doesn't necessarily have a name, but it's on my Ravelry page. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
All in all, you would recommend this pattern?
Yeah, I think it looked very intimidating at first because of the chart to do the Intarsia, but once you're like into it and you're like, oh, okay, it totally makes sense. And I increased the ribbing, the width of the ribbing. So like, I think in the pattern, it asked you to do it for 1 inch and I did it for 3 inches. And I might actually, if I do go back and rip back a little bit, I might even do it just a smidge higher, like 3.5 inches, just because I wanted that like really kind of gathered waist.
Yeah.
For it. But yeah, I thought it was great.
It looks so awesome. I'm so glad you finally did it. I totally gave up on it. I was like, she's never gonna make it.
And then you're wearing.
Oh yes. So I finished the Tegna by Caitlin Hunter. It is in Malabrigo Susurro, which is a linen silk wool blend. And the color is called Plume Agate. It's a type of rock, right? An agate?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know how you say it. But, so this yarn is really a chameleon. It looks blue sometimes. It looks purple sometimes. The yellow comes out sometimes. So on my Ravelry, I took 2 different photos of it and the color looks crazy different. And I feel like I balanced them properly, each one. But I think it's just the nature of the yarn. It kind of just comes out that way. So, you know, the biggest part of it is, the most impressive part is the lace.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a bottom up, kind of like a drop sleeve, and then you just pick up and keep knitting down. So this really blocked out nicely. I'm really happy with how the lace was. And it is a little forgiving for all the mistakes that I made. You can't really tell, because the yarn kind of camouflages it. And it's just so stinking cute. Like, it's so cute. So that's how I feel about it. I'm like, oh my God, it's so cute.
Yeah, no, it turned out really, really nice.
This yarn was a little bit of, I like a good challenge yarn, you know, one that's a little temperamental, a little hard to deal with. But this one was, the tension was easy to keep. It felt a little bit like ribbon, you know, like if you're ever wrapping paper and stuff like that, how those little gift wrapping ribbons kind of feel a little bit like, not plastic, but there's something slick about them. That's kind of what this yarn feels like. And since it's mixed with linen, every now and then you get like those little pieces of brush on it. So I'm just saying, for anyone with like delicate, gentle hands, this might be a very difficult yarn to, not difficult, just like not the easiest yarn to work with, because those little pieces of, I don't know what, hay or whatever, they kind of do like snag at your hands a little bit. But it's pretty cool and drapey, and it just kind of like lays about. I don't know. I'm really pleased with this guy. I think it turned out really well. One thing, and I noted in my Ravelry, so on one arm, for some reason I kept forgetting to go back to the larger needle, and I did it on both sleeves. And on one sleeve I fixed it. I went in and I did the body of mine as a 6, and I went and knit the whole sleeve in a 5, realized I didn't go up a needle, so then pulled it all out, did the whole sleeve again. The second one, I realized I did the same thing, started to do it on a 5 because I had done the ribbing here on the 5. And when you when you knit the neckline, you have to end up picking up stitches to like bring the neckline in, and you do those on the smaller needle. So that's how I ended up with the smaller needle starting the sleeve. But then I switched and I did the ribbing. So did the same thing on the other sleeve, and I didn't care, I just left it, and it didn't really make a difference. So one of my sleeves is ever so slightly tighter than the other sleeve, but I don't think it matters.
Yeah, no, you can't tell.
Couldn't learn right on that one.
And how do you feel, like, I know you said the color was a bit of a chameleon, but you were worried the last time
that it would be a little bit
wardrobe.
Yeah. Well, I think like it works fine with this little black Target skirt dress thing happening. And I think it's cute. It's kind of a summery color, but it's going to be cute with the lace. It's just funny. It doesn't photograph like consistently the same color, but in general, I do it. So I think it's going to be fine. There's enough like purple and cool blues to kind of mitigate the yellow, which is usually my concern of going too yellow. So I'm happy with the color. I think it's working out.
Yeah, I think that looks great. I'm kind of like, should I knit a Tegna now?
I will say, I know I've been kind of anti-bottom-up sweater, but this one went so fast. I don't know why. I think all of the patterning of the velouture just kind of really slowed me down. But once I got over the lace portion, and the lace portion is kind of addictive because every round is different. So you're like, okay, I can just get through the next round. And you really put on inches that way. And then once you get up past the lace, it's kind of a square. So you just like, bam, all the way up to the top. This has been done for over a week. So we can go into work in progress.
Yeah, this one was continuing the bottom up trend as well.
Yeah.
But then, if we're moving on to works in progress, I was like, still waiting. So I figured out the yarn I'm going to use in the background for the Trove. I'm just going to keep talking about the Trove because it is my current complete obsession. And it's just like, what can I do to bide time until I have everything to start making it? So last time we discussed like possibly a mustard for the background. And then I went totally off book and found this West Yorkshire Spinners yarn, the Exquisite 4-ply, which is like Falkland wool and mulberry silk. And they had this beautiful teal color called Bayswater. And I thought it like seemed to offset all the other colors nicely. So I ordered that. I also would only need like 3 skeins of it, and it was like $15 a skein. So it was like not a cheap yarn, but much more cost effective than a lot of the other yarns I was looking at.
Right.
So that is currently on its way from the UK, with who knows when it will come. So right. In the meantime, I've been doing a lot of stash busting and a lot of projects that have been like a lot of yarn I bought either with a project in mind or I had a project's quantity of yarn but didn't know what to make with it. So one of those was these 2 yarns. They're both Lang yarns. Oh, let me get the individual ones first. One second. I'm so unprepared today. So these I got on clearance at the Knitting Tree in LA. So they're both Lang yarn. This one is the Cashmere Light. And so it's 88% cashmere and 12% nylon, which I think, you know, as much as I'm trying to do all natural fibers, the nylon does tend to, I don't know what just fell out of that. Oh, it was a penny. The nylon, I feel, you know, does kind of help it keep its shape and wear a little better and, you know, all that fun stuff. So this, again, these don't have like color names, they're just color numbers. So this is 950.72. And then I also got 50% off this guy, which is also, this is the Lang Yarns Amira, which is 93% cotton and 7% nylon. So mixing cashmere and cotton. So we'll see how it goes. And I decided I was gonna do the Arete sweater, which was on my queue for this year. And this is where I'm at so far. Let me see, this is the back. It's hard to see.
Oh
So this is as far as I've gotten. So it's a turtleneck top down. I've never done a turtleneck before. And then it's got, I mean, we'll put the picture up, but it's got like one stripe that comes around the shoulder over here. And then towards the bottom of the sweater, there's another one that comes like down across the opposite way. Yeah, it's been pretty fun. Again, I guess it worked out in my favor that I did the as if tee first with Intarsia. So I had some Intarsia experience under my belt, because this, the Arete uses Intarsia in the round, which was like a whole other new experience to get my head wrapped around.
So can you roughly explain what Intarsia is, like what it's attempting to achieve, and roughly how are you doing it?
So it's basically you're creating designs within a piece with a different color, but you're not carrying that color behind another color. So it's like so like for this one, you know, you knit across here, then you drop this yarn and you pick this yarn up and knit across this way. Then you drop this yarn, pick this one up, knit across, drop it, pick it up. And so usually Intarsia's knit flat, because then you turn, and where you've dropped everything, when you knit across the back, you can pick it all up again and knit it here. So it's like a I guess not like a typewriter. I don't know what it's like. But, you know, so you go across and back, and you're just picking up and dropping, and you do like a little half twist every time so that you don't get holes where you're dropping one yarn and picking up another.
Okay.
And usually, I don't know, I'm guessing it's used for when you're knitting larger areas. So like if you were just going to do like a tiny little square or like a single stitch, you know, and it's repeated frequently, you'd probably carry the yarn across. But if you're doing like a large section, like, you know, this sweater has like a whole section of one of the arms, and half the front and back of the sweater are this color.
Right. But then that whole other side is another color, so you don't want to carry that yarn across like 80 or 100 stitches just to get it back around. Okay. So then what is the trick to doing it in the round?
So again, you have to turn, because you're not like you're technically you're not really knitting in the round. You're just knitting around to a point, and then you're turning and knitting back around to that point. And then you're turning and you're knitting to that point, and then you knit back around to the point. And so when you create those, and the reason you have to do that is because when you're knitting in the round, it's hard to explain. So you knit around, like let's say I've knit this light color all the way around, and then I knit this light color from the front to the back. So now let's do it this way. So I've knit this light color from the back to the front.
Okay.
Right? So here's my light color now. Then I pick up the dark color and I knit it all the way across. And now I'm back to like where my round started. But the problem is when I need to go to the light color's on the opposite side of the sweater.
Right.
So what you do is you create this like, there's a really great tutorial online. I had to watch it like 4 times. And even then I had to rip this back twice, because I was like, I can't figure it out in terms of, because the other difficult thing is like, if you have a set number of stitches, like if your section is square and you're just knitting that same section back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, it's like, cool, that makes sense. But when you're having to add stitches to it, I wasn't sure like the proper way to do that without like, that took some thinking, and I'm not sure I got it right, but it's working for me. So I'm just keeping with that method.
Sure.
But you bring the yarn to the other side, and then when you turn and knit back, you have this like hanging loop that you can then incorporate, and then somehow it like magically, like you can close the loop and then you're back where you started. It's like, we'll link to the tutorial, which does an excellent illustration because I'm doing a horrible job of explaining it. But it was helpful to at least have experienced the concept of Intarsia before jumping into this. And what I will say is like, this one's not like, I don't know if it looks deceptively simple, but it's like you have to track 3 different things consecutively that are written in different places of the pattern. And so it's like, it's just a lot happening at the same time to track. So you've got to do short rows, you've got to do raglan increases, and then you've got to do the Intarsia in the round with increases within the color chart and maintain the raglan increase pattern, which is like not the same. So like normally a raglan would be like increase on either side of your raglan stitches, and then the next round is like knit normally, so you do it every other one. But this one is like offset, so sometimes you do all of them, sometimes you do just the front and back, sometimes you do just the sleeves. And so it's like a pattern of, so it's not like you can just be like, okay, every other row I'm doing this. It's like, oh no, what row of the raglan pattern am I on versus what row am I on of the color chart versus what row am I on of the short rows. So it's,
yikes,
it's a lot of pattern management happening.
Just marking that this one is not for me. It looks great.
So it's going all right so far. I am worried that I don't have enough of this, which is always my problem, because these are only 25 grams.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like about 93 yards of ball. But I am altering this pattern a bit. So the original pattern has like these big bell sleeves, which would mostly be this color, and I'm gonna end the sleeves just above the elbow. So I'm hoping that'll save me a good amount of yarn, because it's, you know, 2 of those that are not getting knit. And then I'll just have to see, since it's top down, I have a clear gauge of like how far down I can make it. And I did find this color has also been a little difficult to find. I think it's either a discontinued color or just a not very popular one. But I did find a shop online in Oregon that has it. But again, it's like my Bell Cardi, I got these all at 50% off, and now, you know, full price is like hard to stomach. But we'll see. Hopefully I'd only need like one of them, which would be not as bad.
So are you going to knit your sleeves and then continue with the body, so you know like how long you can make it, or is the body kind of a set length because you have to get down to the end of that wedge, that dark teal wedge?
Yeah, I feel like I can't really, like, I have to make the body the length it is in the pattern. Both one, because based off of what I really liked about this one too is the model in the Pom Pom magazine is wearing the size sweater that I'm making. So it is a very clear indication of how, or a much clearer indication than most of the patterns I make, of how it will fit on me.
Right.
And I like the length it is on her, so I don't really want to make it any less than that.
Right. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So that's my work in progress.
I feel like that is, it seems like it is the right amount of difficult for you, which is crazy. The right amount of difficult is crazy difficult.
Well, it's all just at the top. And then I feel like once you get down, you know, like once you're not having to do the raglans anymore, and once you're not having, like, I'm through the short row section, so now it's just raglan and color chart. But then it'll just be color chart at the bottom. So I feel like you start off real crazy, but then you slowly get back to like, all right, now we're cool.
Which is good because, well, I don't know. Do you think, like with the Nightingale, it stayed hard the whole way through, I think. Not hard, but like you had to think about it. Do you think that propelled you faster to the end, or do you like that this one is starting off in depth to get you like involved and then it's going to ease up?
Yeah, I think it'll be nice when it eases up, because it's just harder at least for me, to track where I am in the pattern on this one. Like the Nightingale, I will say, like, yes, you have to pay attention to it the whole time. Like there's no just like knitting around for a while. It's like, no, you gotta know where you are at all times. But if you put it away for a while, it's very easy to figure out where you left off.
Right.
Because of the chart. Whereas this one is like, I think it's a product of how I've figured out to do the in the round Intarsia, that it doesn't necessarily equate to a clear spot on the chart. And so I have to like make sure, like when I put it down, I make a very clear note of where I left off, because otherwise it's like I have no clue where I am.
Right. Okay. So that's good that it'll let up.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about my work in progress.
All right.
So I am knitting it is called the Mesh Crop by Irene Lynn.
It looks so good.
Best part of it is down here at the bottom. There are these like very simple to achieve little eyelets or holes, whatever, that make this kind of sail-like pattern down here. It's a little hard to see. There you go. So you get these little geometric triangular ridges. Yeah, I was just going for like white t-shirt. This was in my stash. It is a Nako brand yarn. And it's just a cotton linen nylon blend. It's very like slick. Oh no, it's bamboo, not nylon. So it's very like slick to the touch, it feels like, even though it has a significant cotton content, so it's a little bit cottony, but it doesn't feel dishclothy because of that bamboo and the linen. It's top down, and I totally messed up the raglans, because here you're gonna see I've got all these extra holes there, and that is a product of, I know I did something wrong, because I did something wrong with the increases, because on this side, which you can't really see because it's blowing out, but there's no holes on this side because I was increasing correctly, and then there are holes on this side because I was increasing incorrectly. Good news is nobody cares. So, and on the same thing, I think it's my left increases that were wrong, because on the similar side, there's holes on this one, and then there's not holes on the other side. So
like it was, you were making a make one right instead of a make one left or something like that?
Or I was, you know how when you do a make one, okay, so the top part, although it's knit top down, it's not in the round until you get past this V point. Mm-hmm. So everything up here happens flat. And I think when I was making one left on the pearls, I wasn't in the right, configuration of how your needles need to be. So I was making one, but I wasn't doing it correctly. So it just left this big gap. And then I finally, at some point, was like, oh, let me watch a tutorial. And I saw how they did it, and I was like, yeah, I wasn't doing it that way.
I think I did that on this one in a couple of places. Let me see.
Oh, so right here, you'll see. Oh, you can't because it's so bright. Right here, still doing it wrong, like doing it wrong all the way up to here. Then I watched the tutorial, and then from here up, done right. So there's a very distinct point at which I finally decided to stop just assuming I knew how to do it right, and got it done, actually. So this, although you have to knit that whole top part flat, it goes by super quick. I've only got, let's see, I love this little row counter, by the way. Saved me so much. So I've only got 3 more rows to do of this pattern, and then I knit a little bit more and bind off. So this one is almost done.
And does it have sleeves, or it's sleeveless? No. Oh, wow.
But the way that it sits, since it's so wide up here, they kind of drape down a little bit. So I think it's going to come down a little bit more, kind of where this one caps off right there before I picked up. So it'll be like a little kind of cap sleevey, not a full stop right here, tank. One thing though, this yarn in these little 50-gram balls is the worst. Like, it just, because it's so slick, it just like falls apart and becomes this huge rat's nest of a ball. Like this whole end will slip off and then get all tangled in the, you know, the other end of the ball. It's terrible. So I cut off the toe of a stocking, and I should have cut it longer. That's my one regret. But to make this little like cozy, to stick this ball in, so that the only time when it starts to really give up the ghost and just like become a total nightmare is in the very last bit of the ball. But the first one, that it just started to give way, and I was like, I think I'm not gonna knit this thing, because I hated the way that yarn just fell apart on me and like, ugh. Anyways, so there was that. It also, I really suggest if you knit with the, I also suggest if you knit with a yarn like this to knit with wooden needles, because they slip off. The stitches slip off real fast. Just there, they all went off. Even though I am knitting with wooden needles. So anyways, I got acid wash jeans, and I'm so excited to wear this shirt with some acid wash jeans during summer. It'll be so cute. So yeah, this pattern has come about very quickly.
Yeah.
Just a little summery white t-shirt.
Nice.
That's probably blowing out the camera.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not making any summer knits. So I'm gonna open my drink really quick.
You don't like summer knits.
Yeah.
So, but I'm totally on the summer knits grind. Mm-hmm. Can't wait to make my next one, because they're really like year-round knits for me. Like, this is the only way I can wear knitted clothing. It's all made out of cotton and linen and stuff.
Yeah, I showed my my mom the Arete that I was working on last night, and she was like, I don't understand why you pick these things that are for a climate you don't live in. And I was like, I don't know, like, knit for the climate you want, not the climate you have. I don't know.
Yeah, not me. I'm knitting for the climate I live in, because like the windows are closed and I'm already like, ugh, it's very warm.
Yeah, I know. I was like, should I pause and like go put on my my lovely what is the, I still don't know the pattern. I made it, it's done. The Pearl Soho tee.
Oh, yeah. Simple, lightweight summer tee.
Yeah, I think it's the lovely lightweight tee, I think is what it is.
That's a generic name. That's what's hard to remember about it. Well, I don't actually have much more. So I knitted this one, and then I was very dedicated to that one. And the only other thing I did was this morning, I ripped back this minaret all the way to where the split happens for the sleeves, so that I can start to figure out what I'm going to do about the bottom half of this one. So it just was like, I needed to rip off the Band-Aid of this situation, because it was still on the needles. I was very much like, I can just leave it there. And this morning I was like, you're never going to finish it unless you just go ahead and rip it out, and then you'll be like, the ripping it out was the stumbling block. It was like, okay, I didn't want to go back and do it because I didn't want to pick up the stitches. I didn't want to rip it out because I didn't want to pick up the stitches. So I just did it this morning, and we'll see if I can finish that one off. Because I love the yarn. Every time I pull it out of the bag, I'm like, I love this yarn so much. I want to wear it, but I refused to finish the pattern because I just didn't want to go backwards. Mm-hmm. So that's the only other thing I have.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else. I threw the balloon cardigan up here because I needed something in the background, but that guy still needs to be frogged and redone.
Yeah. I like how you just use it as decoration.
Yeah, like lays across the back of my couch, wall hanging. It's completely unfunctional as a piece of clothing, but
last time we talked about some unhappy mail I got from Spin Cycle. But this week I was going to show you the lichen and lace mohair that I got.
Oh my god, I just saw a hint of it in the bottom and it is so good. Ah, I love it. I love that like teal in there.
Yeah, this one's called Pressed Flowers.
So good.
So I got 3 skeins just in case, because I was like, that's not my hair, but that's fine. I haven't even opened these. I love this red. Oh, it's so good. So I'm not sure what I'm going to make with it because I wanted it to come in before I decided what I would try to pair with it. And you know, pairing with mohair is like my eternal struggle. Look at this pink. I mean, I'm so surprised that the colors are so saturated in this. Oh my God, it looks so good. So I am trying to figure out what I'm gonna do here. I think, so the base cord is a little silvery, so it might pair well with just a silver underneath it and then let the mohair kind of speak, which I think I may go with. Or I could do a cream and again, just let the mohair talk. I'm slightly interested in the idea of mixing it with like a hot pink, but then I'm not sure like how's the orange and the green going to perform over a hot pink. So, but this is giving me life.
And that's pretty bold for you too.
It is.
Like you were talking about how your Tegna was a big departure for you.
Right. Yeah.
I feel like, you know, baby steps, we're going for it. Next step.
So this is a Canadian maker. So, and I ordered directly from her rather than purchasing like from a store that already had it. It came in like 2 weeks. So I thought that was great to be international shipping. And I love all of her. She just has really great colors. So, and I was like, Marika knows I was talking about this for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks before I finally purchased it. So I'm glad it came out to be as awesome as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it wasn't
a total letdown.
Yeah. An unhappy surprise.
Yeah. So there we go. A nice, tight, very methodical podcast. Well, if that's all you have, I'll say cheers.
Cheers. I'm on to my La Croix.
Cheers. Happy knitting, everyone.
Happy knitting. I feel like I'm running pretty low on stuff to watch at the moment. I watched that Sweet Magnolias thing on Netflix.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's not good. But it is what it is.
I finished Dune. It's a hard pass, man.
Wow, that was you must have been listening to that a lot.
Yeah, it's bad. Just did not dig.
Yeah, I've kind of abandoned David Copperfield at the moment. I just, like, nothing's happening. It's just him going from, like, house to house to house, like, and then talking about the people at that house. And then we move on to the next house and we talk about those people. And I'm like, why I don't, like, what, can we have something happen, please?
Can we have some plot?
Yeah, I just don't, I don't know. I might give up and move on to like Great Expectations or something.
I finished 2 other books, one called The Long Bright River, which is about a female patrol cop in an area of Philadelphia that is very, did I talk about this before? Like there's a lot of addiction in that area, and her sister is a heroin addict, and there's a serial killer, and her sister's gone missing, and she keeps thinking that the serial killer is like gonna take her sister, so she's desperately trying to find her sister. It's a very good, it's both combination page turner plus a really well written story about watching someone, because they do flashbacks, watching someone slide into addiction and not being able to help them in any way. So it was a fabulous book. Very, like, I read it so fast. And then separate, I read The Diviners, which is a 1920s jazz baby kind of, again, serial killer, but a supernatural one. Ooh. And mixed with people who have like psychic abilities, or kind of like The Shining. So that one was great. Read it so fast. Well, I had listened to the audiobook, and the woman who did the audiobook reading really like gave into the voices and was doing the whole thing, which kind of, I think if I had read the book, I would have thought the kind of like jazz slang was a little heavy-handed. But when she was, giving the voices, it kept me like in the place, because otherwise, if you start to read it in your own voice, you start to think like you lose the sense of time, because I have a modern voice. Okay, well, that's my book review.